Parshas Vayechi, Shabbos Chazak. It's also the night of Asara B'Teves. Tomorrow's the fast day of Asara B'Teves. And of course, anybody who's here in this part of the East Coast knows that we've definitely reached the dog days of Teves, freezing cold, temperatures outside, windy. I mean, nothing compares really to what's going on in California. Baruch Hashem, we're able to put on coats and just freeze a little bit. But here we are. We're finishing this week. We're finishing Seder Bereshis, Shabbos Chazak, and just like that, from Simchas Torah, we did Parshas Bereshis, and we turn around, and here we are. We're in Mitzrayim, and we're finishing Seder Bereshis. Next week starts a whole different theme, a whole different way of saying Shiurim, a whole different. We speak about Golos Mitzrayim, Geulas Mitzrayim. It's a whole different ball games. So our parsha tells us something very interesting. The parsha tells us that Yaakov Avinu, before he was nifter, Yaakov Avinu gathered together his children, and he wanted to instruct them what will be, what they should do. He wanted to give them instructions before he departs this world. And the pasuk tells us, Hey, Osfu v'agido lachem. Yaakov Avinu told all his children, gather together and I will tell you. Eis asher yikra eschem b'acharis hayomim. Yaakov Avinu wanted to tell them what's going to be at the end of days. What's going to happen when Mashiach comes. The Gemara, Masechta Pesachim, famous Gemara, Daf Nun Vav Amud Aleph. The Gemara tells us, Bikesh Yaakov Legalois es Haketz. Yaakov Avinu wanted to reveal the end of times. He wanted to reveal when Mashiach would come. V'nistalka mimenu Shechina. Yaakov Avinu was about to give away that information, and the Shechina at that moment left Yaakov Avinu, and he didn't have the Ruach HaKodesh to tell everyone when it would be, when would all the tzaras end, when will the Goliyos end, when will Mashiach come. Yaakov Avinu did not. He wasn't able to say that because the Shechina left him. And the Zohar says something very, very fascinating here about this Gemara. The Zohar tells us that if the Gemara is telling us that Yaakov Avinu was stopped, Yaakov Avinu wanted to tell us when Mashiach was coming, and Yaakov Avinu was stopped, and he did not reveal to us what he wanted to say, what he wanted to let us know. So if such is the case, why would the Torah even mention it? Think about it a second. It didn't happen. Hey, Osfu v'agid lachem, come together. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to let you know. And then Yaakov Avinu did not follow through. The Shechina left him, and he wasn't able to tell us. So the Torah, it must be, says the Zohar, that Yaakov Avinu, if the Torah is telling us this, Yaakov Avinu did get out a very important message. Because if Yaakov Avinu was not telling us anything, if Yaakov Avinu, the Torah tells us, hey, Osfu v'agido lachem, gather together and I'm going to let you know something, it can't be about something that did not happen. Can't be. Yaakov Avinu said, gather together, I'm going to tell you, and then nothing happened. That's what the Zohar says. So what was it? We know that Yaakov Avinu did not tell us when Mashiach would come. What was it that Yaakov Avinu let us know if it was not that message of telling us when Mashiach will come? So Nesivos Shalom brings from the Birkas Abraham, Zechus HaYogel Aleinu, and he says, B'Shem Reb Shmuel Mikaminka. I'll let Rabbi Brol fill me in afterwards where his lineage and where he comes from and how he gets to the Birkas Abraham. But he says like this, the Lashon of the Pasuk. Let's concentrate a moment on the Lashon of the Pasuk that we read. And he says, the Birkas Abraham tells us from Reb Shmuel, he says, that the pasuk is actually letting us know not when the geula will come, but how the geula will come. The pasuk says, "Heyasfu," gather together. Ve'agidu lachem. So the pasuk taich of ve'agidu lachem is that I will tell you, I'll let you know. But you all know that the word agida also means the lashon of agad, binding together. So the pasuk is telling us, Heyasfu, Klal Yisrael, gather together, ve'agida, tie yourselves together, bind yourself together, come together, Klal Yisrael, and bind yourselves together, be'achdus. Eis asher yikra eschem. Yikra means what will occur, but yikra also means yakar. That which is yakar v'chashuv, that which is extremely valuable and important. So heyasfu v'agidu lachem, gather together, bind yourself together, have achdus in Klal Yisrael. Eis asher yikra eschem. That is something that is extremely important and valuable to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Being ba'achdus, Klal Yisrael being ba'achdus is the important thing that we are going to need to have, and we need to have today. Ba'achdus hayamim, if we want Mashiach to come, leading up, now we're in the days that are leading up to the days of Mashiach, we need to know that message that we should gather together and be ba'achdus. And the Gemara tells us, Masechta Sanhedrin, Daf Tzadik Ches Amud Aleph, on the pasuk, there's a pasuk in the Navi. The Navi tells us about the Geula, a very interesting way of knowing when the Geula will come. And the Navi tells us, Ani Hashem be'ita achishena. So, be'ita and achishena are really two different things. Be'ita means in the right time, and achishena means I will hasten it. So if it's in the right time, how does it mean that that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to hasten the Geula and it's going to come close? So the Gemara tells us that what does it mean? It means that if Zachu, if we are Zoiche, then Achishena. If we're Zoiche, if we merit, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Geula will be hastened to a closer time. But if Loi Zachu, if we're not Zoiche, then Be'ita. Then the Geula is going to come just in the time. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a set time for the Geula. Okay, it's not a hurricane or a fire, Baruch Hashem, as in Los Angeles, where we're good. The camera went down, but it's back up. There's two different times when Mashiach could come. We'll have to call the technicians up here to fix it up. But there's two different times that Mashiach will come. If we're Zoiche, if we have enough Schusim, then it will be Achishena. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring closer the time of the Geula. But if we're not Zoiche, if we don't have the requisite amount of Schusim, then it's going to be Be'ita. Then it's going to be in the set time that Hashem made for. There's a set time that the Geula is destined to come. And at that time, Mashiach has to come, regardless. So it says in Nesivos Shalom that Yaakov Avinu is giving us a message of advice to Klal Yisrael. Yaakov Avinu is giving us advice just in case, Chas v'Shalom, we're in a matzav of Loi Zachu, where so many people in Klal Yisrael are so far away. You have so many people that are maybe not keeping Shabbos, not keeping the mitzvahs. You have so many, there's too much sinas chinam still. And if we come to that point, Yaakov's telling us that if we're at a point where it is Loi Zachu, where we're not yet deserving of the Geula being hastened, Yaakov is telling us how we could bring ourselves to a place of Zachu. How can we bring ourselves to a matziv of where we'll be Zoiche to the Geula, where we can hasten the Geula, where we can bring ourselves to a matziv maybe of Achishena. And Yaakov Avinu is telling us that the answer is, Heyasfu ve'agidu lachem. Gather yourselves together, bring yourselves together, gather and bind yourself together, ba'achdus in Klal Yisrael, because you can hasten the Geula. You could bring us to a matzav of Achi Shena, even if you're not really deserving. And it's time, really, if you think about it, what Yaakov Avinu is telling us, that it's time to stop the petty infighting, the petty fighting between different factions in Klal Yisrael, different groups, different communities, people and groups who do not, quote, get along with each other. Yaakov Avinu is telling us that as long as we keep that up, we're not going to bring Mashiach. Yes, there's a set time. There's a set time that Mashiach has to come, but we don't want to wait. We don't want to wait for that set time. We want to be Achishena. We want to hasten the Geula. And Yaakov Avinu is telling us that there's only one way. And as long as you have the Sinas China, and as long as you're not getting along, and as long as because this person wears that, and this person lives there, and this person looks at me that way, and this person learns this way, or he speaks that way, so I can't get along, I can't live with, I can't go to school with, I can't learn with, I can't do anything with, as long as we carry that on, then we're not going to be able to be Zoicha, to hasten the Geula. As long as we're judging each other, we have to stop that. We have to stop judging each other, and everybody knows what they can do in their life to improve that situation. So Noam Elimelech teaches us, and Noam Elimelech, Baruch Hashem, we mentioned so many times, and him we know, there's just another couple of months, I think, the Olam's, I'm sure, getting ready to go touring to the Kever, to the Tzion of the Noam Elimelech. There's a special entity called Kol Yisrael. We say Kol Yisrael, Yesh Lahem Chelek L'Olam Haba. When we say Hineni Muchan Mezumah, we say B'Shem Kol Yisrael. The Noam Elimelech tells us that there's a matzav, there's an entity called Kol Yisrael, and in that world, there's no Chet, there's no Satan. It's just one unit of Klal Yisrael. And we want to get to a matzav where we could be in that world. So the Torah writes for us, Hey, Asku ve'agidu lachem, Eis asher yikra eschem, Eis asher yikra eschem be'achris hayamim. The Torah wrote that, I'm telling you something, Yaakov Avinu said. Yeah, but Yaakov Avinu couldn't tell us when. But if I can't tell you when, I'm going to tell you how. So the Torah is not writing something which is blank at the end, that it didn't happen. It did happen. Yaakov Avinu gave us the message how we're going to bring Mashiach. But we're not following Yaakov Avinu's instructions yet, obviously, or Mashiach will be here. And every one of us really has to work on it. We have to work on it ourselves, a little more shalom, a little more tolerance, to tolerate people that approach avodas Hashem different than we do, people that may look a little different than we are, have different minhagim, different mahalach hachayim, different ways. Everybody could improve and understand that until we're all together, and that's a lesson that we really have to learn tonight more than ever. The famous Chassam Sofer, I heard it tonight again, hear it every year, famous Chassam Sofer, that on Asara B'Tevis, that's the din of whether it's still going to be, we all know that the Beis HaMikdash is not built in our days. If Tisha B'Av is going to come around, it's not the fault of the people who lived 2,000 years ago. It's our fault if we don't have the Beis HaMikdash Ki'ilu Nechrab in our days. It's as if the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed in our days. So if there's going to be a Tisha B'Av, it's our fault. Don't blame it on anyone else. It's our fault, it's our problem. And the Chassam Sofer says that the din of whether there's going to be another Chas v'Shalom Chorban this year on Tisha B'Av is on Asar B'Teves. So here we are, tonight, the night of Asar B'Teves. The lesson has to be learned. The Beis HaMikdash, the Gemara tells us, Chazal tell us, Beis HaMikdash was destroyed because of Sinas Chinam. Yaakov Avinu is telling us how to cut out the Sinas Chinam. Hey, Yasru Agida Lachem, be together, Ba'achdus, and the Mir Hashem. This should be the last Asar B'Teves in Golos. We should be judged that there will not be a Tisha B'Av in Golos this year. And we should all take the message of Yaakov Avinu, Hey, Yasru Agida Lachem. We should be Zoiche to the Achris, Hayomim, B'Mheira, V'Yameinu, Amen.